We are back. It's episode 41. Cam Atkinson's here.
Hello.
Get on over to porchvillepod.com. What's up? Matt, how you doing?
Dude, man, I am so excited about this show.
Coming in hot.
It's going to be so good.
Oh, man. I started the show because I was like, we're sitting here having a good time. We're drinking some beautiful rum that Cam brought, and
tasty.
We're just flowing. It was like, I better hit record. That happened a couple times.
That Matt came on a little too hot.
That's all right. No, I meant the volume. You're good.
Oh, okay.
You're fine.
I'm very good.
Don't be so sensitive.
Oh, I can get my feelings hurt a little bit here once in a while.
Yeah, we were talking about comedy, man.
Yes.
How you got started, when you got started. You were saying you started a little bit late.
Yeah. I've actually
how old
this
is
month,
too late to start?
I don't think it's ever too late to start.
Yeah.
Honestly, yeah. I mean, I'm certainly not the oldest comedian that ever goes up locally, but I'm among the oldest.
I pay you for 24, 25.
Yeah. Times two. No, I'll be 45 in December. Yeah,
You're a young man.
Yeah,
you're a young man.
And you know, that's
as
just
a man who just turned 40, you're a young man.
Yeah, I mean, it's 40 looks a lot different on this side than it did, 18 years ago, right?
Doesn't it though?
Yeah,
it fucking sucks.
Yeah, I'm 34, and you guys both just look old as fuck.
Yeah,
baby.
Just for men. Yeah, trust me, there's a lot more gray in this beard.
I used to use it. I had to give up. It was too much. I couldn't fucking afford it anymore.
Yeah.
Jesus. Excuse me.
It's definitely there, but I think I look better with the shaved head. I have a funky hairline and funky hair, so it's like one of two haircuts. I shaved it actually when my wife and I first got together.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I was shaving it not when we met, but when she first I had kind of hair in my face before. She's like, "Oh, I can't see your face." So then I started shaving it back when I was like 19, I guess maybe.
Really?
Yeah, then a little while after that is when my wife and I got together. So yeah, I started stand-up mostly because I'm a very boring person. I mean, same job, same relationship. I've had 3 cars since I was 21.
What do you do for a normal 9 to 5?
I underwrite mortgages right now.
Fascinating.
Yeah,
That
it
is
is
super exciting.
Yeah, I've worked for this credit union. I used to do a lot of car loans more so. So now it's all mortgages. The good thing is it's a job that you can do remotely.
Yeah.
So I guess we can make the announcement right here on Porchville. My wife, we're going to be moving to Denver next year.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's a wild place out there. I hear.
Yeah. My wife's from there originally. I love it.
Yeah.
I've been really wanting to move for about 5 years. And we really didn't, I didn't think she would want to go. Thought the kids, we got a 14 and an 11-year-old, and but they want to go. And my wife owns her own business in town. She's a therapist, and this pandemic has shown that she can work from home too.
That's amazing.
So yeah, we're going to Denver, and I'm stoked.
Yeah,
it's supposed to be a great comedy town. We have family and friends out there already.
Yeah.
And no fucking humidity.
I was gonna say, man, you're getting rid of the humidity. That's no fair. That just leaves more for the rest of us.
So now that we have just become like really good friends, you just want to leave?
Well, I know you're just gonna have to have me on in between now and then.
Yeah.
But I mean, we have all of our families here, so it's not like we're not going to be back. So
we're
not selling the house
Zoom
or anything
meetings.
yet.
Zoom.
Yeah, there's always Zoom. So
Zoom is probably. I bet you they made more money off this whole pandemic thing than like
if
anybody
smart,
else.
Yeah, they had to.
They had to have just made fucking millions of dollars.
But so my day job is conducive to being able to really. So basically, this month will be 2 years since I officially started doing for my first time on stage.
Yeah.
And my first time on stage was like my first time on stage. I took a public speaking class in college. I've never done drama, acting, nothing.
What pushed you into it then? You've never done it, never get on stage. What pushed you into it?
So part of it was, I really wanted to, I enjoy writing, and I wanted to write, and I'm not big into politics necessarily. I know that we don't talk politics on this show.
We try not to.
And
every now and again it sneaks in there.
But we try not to. I mean, without getting into it too much, I loathe the two-party system.
Well, you seem to be. I've seen some of your posts, and you seem to be pretty much kind of down the middle. Like,
yeah, I mean, it depends on the topic.
Shit
on
both sides. Everybody
yeah.
has their, their bad points or good points.
Right. I
we
mean,
just
very
want
few things
normal
in this life.
shit.
Right.
We just want normal
Right.
shit to happen.
Right. Just live and let live, and so But I just got to where it's like because I refused to register with one of the parties. I really, really dislike the two-party system.
Yeah.
And so I found like there's no objectivity anymore.
Yeah.
So I would have to, if I wanted to pick a topic to write about, I felt like I'd have to go and pick 3 stories from this side and 3 stories from this side.
Right.
You got to go across the pond to get decent coverage of, or at least somewhat unbiased. And it just got so exhausting. And I've always loved comedy.
Yeah. And
so one day my wife and I were just kind of sitting around. We had been in a pretty bad accident in 2017. And, that's right around, 41. So, close
car
to
accident?
midlife. Yeah. I shattered my femur.
Holy shit.
And so, that kind of changed things a little bit, like, because the kids were in the car. And everybody was fine, thankfully. But, I thought, all right, get off my ass and do something here. And started kind of writing and messing around a little bit. And then I just looked for an open mic just one day for some reason. And went down to the Midnight. This was before Keg of Laughs was really going real good.
Yeah. Did you go up totally green?
No. I went up there. My wife and I, because that was right around the time my daughter was getting old enough where we felt comfortable leaving them home alone for a couple hours.
Is that not a glorious time?
Oh man, it was amazing. Yeah, and we live up in Alachua, so
like you
it's a little bit of a drive. And,
it's like you've unlocked an achievement.
Oh man, and I do. I joke about my wife and the kids both on stage, but I give them both all a lot of credit because it is kind of a team effort.
Of course.
But yeah, we went and we watched a couple of open mic nights up at the Midnight. Talked to Jen Vito, who was the showrunner. Gave her an idea. I already had material. I mean, I had stuff I wanted to do, and so I feel in some ways fortunate because I really kind of knew what I was getting into a little bit. I had material, and a lot of the stuff I talk about is really shit I've been saying for years anyway.
Right.
I just decided to put it in joke form, kind of, and so yeah, I just kind of went. And when I got that hair and decided to go, first laugh,
headlong into it.
Yeah, I mean we're around the same age. You remember?
Yeah.
When we were kids, smoke crack once.
Yep.
You're either addicted or you die.
Yeah.
Well, I've never smoked crack, but that's what stand-up was to me.
That first laugh,
and I was hooked.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's yeah, but still at that point, I was getting into it for a hobby.
Yeah.
I was looking for something to do. So it was something, we could have date nights. And so for the first almost full year, probably the first 10 and a half months or so, I would go up maybe 2 or 3 times a month.
Yeah.
Just getting up here and there, getting 5 minutes here and there. And then I toward the end of May, I got a chance to do my first high dive show with a comic out of Atlanta. I did 10 minutes that night, and it was probably about all I had.
Yeah.
I had probably maybe between 12 and 15 minutes that I would feel comfortable doing, but that 10 was most of what I had. We went on vacation the next month, and when I came back the middle of July is when I kind of got in with AJ Wilkerson and Bob Smith and those guys over at Keg of Laughs and started doing some workshopping and being around other comedians.
Yeah.
And from the middle of July,
pieces together. And all that stuff,
I went from the middle of July. I had maybe 15 minutes, and I ended up doing I think 35 minutes by December.
Nice.
So just being around funny people, being around like-minded people, it really is.
Yeah.
I mean, and AJ, that kid writes so much.
He's hilarious.
Always writing, always doing hustling.
And he called you out, or he didn't call you out, but he definitely
he and I were pretty
gave
close.
you props. Yeah.
He's a good dude.
He was introducing at World of Beers, and he was like, dude, this guy's ended up being like one of my closest friends.
Yeah.
He's good. He's
one of the
people.
first people that actually welcomed me into this community.
Yeah, it really worked out well because when I first started going to World of Beer last summer, was around the same time he started. He had just started not too long before that, and we really hit it off. We have a lot of similarities too, you know. So he and I really hit it off, and it's been, you know, I mean, we'll text each other bits or tags, you know, constantly and stuff, and it just, you know, it's that keeping
got a
that
little
creativity
bromance?
going.
A
Yeah,
little
he's
creative
almost like a little
bromance?
brother. Yeah,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, I mean, he's talked about coming out to Denver and parking his little RV in our driveway. Yeah, so
See, that's what I'm talking about. AJ's one of those next level shit type of people.
Yeah.
Because he's doing stuff like putting an RV
right.
together. He's building the fucking thing.
He's really chasing it, you know, and
yeah.
that's what, you know, for me, really. I don't know. I can't say when it changed necessarily, but, you know, being around Bob, somebody who was a road comic for 20 plus years,
Yeah.
who knows what he's talking about, and, you know, then I've been lucky enough to open shows for Mitch Fattel and Shuli Egar off Howard Stern.
what?
Yeah, I saw you did the show with Shuli here in at the Hideout.
Shuli
How was that?
awesome. Like he asked to speak to me afterwards, and
Did he really?
had very nice to me. Had some advice, but he told me I can be on any show, and when he's in
Nice.
this area, I'm welcome on any show he's on. So really, really nice. Positive feedback, you know, and that's, you know, they don't have to do that shit.
No.
I mean, who am I, you know?
Well, that's all it takes.
Yeah,
though, is
you
that,
know,
is that
I mean,
one connection, you know.
And there's really a lot. Now, obviously, in Gainesville, nobody's a big fish
Sure.
per se, you know, but you know, it really is a pretty tight knit community. There's not a lot of backstabbing, a lot
Right.
of, you know, and that's nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, some of the bigger comics, you know, that I've got a chance to work with, and, you know, they had nice things to say, and I'm going, hold on a second, you know, maybe I'm a little better at this than I thought. You know,
Yeah.
maybe it doesn't have to just be a hobby. Maybe I can chase this a little bit. You
Is
know.
that part of going to Denver? Like, are you going to continue to chase
absolutely.
it going out there?
Yeah, Denver is supposed to be a really, really good comedy town.
Yeah.
So I have I hopefully have a few connections that are in some form of the entertainment industry. It's some friend of a friend type situation, you
Right.
know. But yeah, I plan on going out and chasing it because, you know, why the hell not? I mean,
Might
it's
as
supposed
well.
to be a great town. You know, there'll be festivals. And that's, you know, I think I'm glad we didn't leave when I really first wanted to.
Right.
Because I wouldn't be where I am today probably if I was in a city,
Yeah.
a big city for sure. Because, you know, I mean, after being with Kegel for, you know, 5-6 months, I'm not getting a closing spot anywhere else.
Right.
You know, I'm not
course.
getting 30
Yeah.
or 45 minutes to go up and tell jokes anywhere. You know, I'll be lucky. So, you know, going out to Denver, I'm going to have to remember, shit, there's going to be nights they're going to give me 1 minute,
Yeah.
3 minutes. You know, I haven't
Yeah, you're
done
gonna
3
be low
minutes
man
in
on the
forever.
totem pole
Right,
again.
You know, but
But you got some time on stage too. That's
Yeah.
going to help. You know.
I've got some pretty decent.
a decent
videos.
resume.
Yeah. You know, I've got a few good sized comics I've worked with.
And I've seen you live. You're funny. I
thank you.
love your act.
Thanks.
So, I mean, I think you'll do.
I think
well.
I talk about
think you'll do
a
well.
lot of stuff that not a lot of people talk about.
Yeah.
And you know, so hopefully that gives me a little bit of a, and you know, hopefully it's a little unique.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, because I talk a lot of religion. I
Yep.
love religion.
Dude, that was one of
But
my
I try not to
favorite things
shit on
about
it.
watching, like, your stand-up at World of Beer was you're just like, well, I know you're not supposed to talk about politics and religion. That's kind of taboo. Well, I already talked about politics, so let's get into religion.
Yeah, that's kind of a mainstay now.
Yeah.
Dude, that was
any
funny
of
as
the, Any of
hell.
the longer sets, that one kind of goes in there. And I don't talk a lot of politics. You know, I got a couple jokes that are kind of politic adjacent.
Yeah.
So really, it's more about just being able to use that line because I like saying that.
It's so funny. That was so funny. I almost, like, I was taking a drink of a beer and I almost spit it up all over my girlfriend.
And for
when I was listening.
Matt to waste beer,
Nice,
that's
I
a big
like it.
thing.
Yeah, I don't
you
do
know,
that.
I mean, I was a little nervous at first because I do have some family who's more religious, and you know, I'm like,
Yeah.
But then I thought, you know, they know my heart. Like,
Yeah.
Like, you don't, in my opinion, you don't have to believe in God to be a good person.
That's true.
You know, and it always bugs me. I'll hear people, oh, you seem like a really good person for somebody who doesn't believe in God. And I'm like, how the fuck am I supposed to take that? Because some of the worst people I know believe in God.
Yeah,
So, I mean,
yeah.
I don't
There's
see
some
how the two.
real assholes,
I
man.
don't know how the two have anything to do with each other. But yeah. But you know, it was a little nerve wracking at first. Like, oh, do I really want to get up and talk about this? But you know, I have probably 20-25 minutes on religion. So yeah, I'm not giving it up now. It's,
Nice.
it's too much a part of the act now. So
And your wife seems pretty supportive of what you're doing. She's all into it.
Yeah, she's I mean, we really if you ever talk to me, generally speaking, about comedy, you'll hear me say "we" a lot.
Yeah.
Because it really is. You know, she doesn't write per se, but you know, all the jokes go by her.
Yeah.
I talk about her some less than flattering jokes, you know. I mean, that, you know, she green lights, so that's always awesome. You know, so she's very supportive with that. You know, a few jokes where she's just going, oh, yeah. She said every once in a while she'll be sitting in the crowd and hear somebody go, "That's who he's talking about right there." I'm sorry, babe. You're a good sport. So love you.
Do you get a lot of those, like one eyebrow down, one up, and just like the slow shake of the head? No,
no, not too much. I mean, this is going to sound fucking cheesy, I know, but we've been together for, God, what is it, 20 years? Well over 20 years. And we really are best friends. So it's just like, I mean, in many ways, it's
That's
like
the
just sitting there chilling, you know, with your friend. Just so, yeah, get some of that for sure. You know, there's definitely some, but you know, she's pretty used to it by now, because really on stage is not that different than what I'm like in real life. I want to laugh all the time. I laugh when I'm uncomfortable. I laugh when I'm nervous. You know, and I like making other people laugh. So
that first time you go upstage, grab the microphone, lights hit you in the eyes. What's going through your head?
Well, it was at the midnight and it was outdoors, so there weren't any lights.
Well, son of a bitch.
Yeah. Early on, what I would say is I really liked High Dive because it had the lights.
Yeah.
Because you know, eye contact, as you've noticed probably in the last 15 minutes, isn't my strong suit here. So like, you know, when the lights are there, it kind of, I mean, you know, you've been up there, it kind of, you don't see as many faces.
Yeah.
And I kind of like that because I feel like I keep my head up. I've gotten a lot better. I think my stage presence from, you know, day one to now has certainly improved.
Sure.
But I still have a tendency to kind of drop my head, not keep my head. So when their lights are on, I'm a little better about keeping my eyes up, you know.
Yeah.
But I wasn't near as nervous as I thought I should have been. And, you know, it's I have to say, for the most part, Gainesville crowds are pretty nice.
Yeah.
I'm not exactly what I would consider an edgy comic, you know, so, I mean, some of the PC stuff, you know, I don't have to deal with so much.
Right.
But I wasn't near as nervous as I thought I should have been. I was sweating my ass off because it was August and it was Gainesville, you know.
Remind me.
But it wasn't near as bad as I thought it would be. And like I say, you know, once I got that first laugh, and even to this day, I mean, even the streaming show I did the other day, there's 7 people, including myself, in the whole building. I'm still a little nervous before I go on. I'm kind of reading my notes and going over and making sure. But once I hit, like, not even once I hit the mic, I'm good.
Yeah.
Nerves go away,
Right.
and I just I'm there for a job, you know.
Business time.
Yeah, but beforehand, I'm usually a little bit, I like to kind of just beat it myself and just kind of read, even if it's, you know, jokes I've done over and over and over again.
Now, the first joke that you told on the first show, do you still tell that joke? That's something I always like to ask comedians.
I need to go back and look. There are some jokes in that first set that I still use.
Yeah.
I wrote what turned into a joke that I used as a closer for a little while, and it's not the funniest thing in the world, but I like it. And I probably wrote it 2 or 3 years before I ever even thought about doing stand-up comedy. But the one that's basically, I'm like a god to my kids. You know, I created them.
Oh, yeah.
I provide for them and protect them.
Yeah, I heard
they're
that
getting
one.
older now, so pretty soon they'll quit believing in me.
Yeah.
So,
dude,
so
don't sell yourself
true.
short.
Yeah.
That thing is that joke was clutch.
I love that joke. That one has stayed in the set for sure.
Well, it's I think a lot of the best comedy is just truth. you know? And that's true. I mean, my daughter is 10 years old, going on 25, and
that is true.
She's ahead of the curve and I'm not sure how to deal with this. I also my 14-year-old son is also in the same boat. So
so you're just the opposite of us. Actually no, it just turned 11, but 14 and 11, but girl older, boy younger.
Yeah, it's a rough time, man. Because you know that
second born definitely has something to do with it too.
Yeah.
My wife is the oldest. I'm the oldest.
Yeah.
And so I think being the second born probably has something to do with it.
Yeah.
But girls definitely mature faster than boys.
You ain't kidding. You ain't kidding.
I mean, physically, mentally. I mean,
I'm 40 and I do a podcast, dick and fart jokes and stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
So, I mean, that's
actually, I just
prime example right there.
And I just tried it. I have no idea if it worked or not because it was a streaming show and we had a laugh track. But I've been toying with this for a while. I finally said it the other night on High Dive Stage that if you've seen my wife, she looks very young. So I said, my wife looks young enough to be my daughter, and I act young enough to be her son.
I'm not sure it's safe to do that joke this day and age, man.
Well, touche. I didn't think about that, I suppose. Make sure she has her driver's license.
I had a couple of jokes to make on that one, but I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
That's
speaking of which, I mean, I don't usually write pedophile jokes, but for some reason I thought of Jared from Subway, and I wrote a pedophile joke yesterday.
Well, the market is rife for opportunity for pedophile jokes to go over fairly well, I think.
Yeah, I mostly try and steer clear from anything too controversial.
Yeah.
I got a joke about gay marriage and a couple little gender jokes that, depending on where I'm at, I don't tell, even though they're
Did you
innocuous.
Did you see the troll? Did you see the troll doll?
I saw that tonight.
So there's a fucking troll doll, and it's got
tonight.
A button like where the gooch is.
Yeah.
And it's a girl. It's from the Trolls the movie, and when you push the button, it makes all these little like hee hee weird fucking giggly noises and shit. It's really strange, and I guess Hasbro pulled it off the market.
Yeah.
Parents are flipping out about it. The idea is it's when you set it down, like sitting upright, it makes these weird noises. But how do you think that got by the like? Who said, "Looks great, Jim. I love it.
Yeah,
Send it to production." Like,
yeah, they have to fire that entire marketing team.
You can't recover.
They're
You can't
done.
recover from that.
They're done.
You can't recover from that. A troll doll that makes little.
There's a lot of people
weird
that lost their jobs.
Yeah, not a good look.
I think it's an overreaction. Everybody knows
of course.
a troll's vagina is behind its knee.
Oh,
I mean, people, come on.
Oh, but that's the thing now. Everything's overreaction. Like,
I do have to agree with a lot of that. Unfortunately,
everything's an overreaction.
I mean,
2020, baby.
It's tough.
How have you been like with? Was this your first streaming show that you recently did?
It was, yeah.
How was it?
It actually turned out really well. It was much better than I expected.
Yeah.
Just having.
How did it feel though in the moment, like not getting that feedback?
Well, there were a few people in the room which helped, and honestly, the laugh track, which I thought I would not like, was a little helpful just because it helped to pace me a little better.
Okay.
Where I wasn't moving on to the next thing too fast.
Right.
So it actually, I was way more comfortable than I thought I'd be. I'm one of those types. I love going to workshop. I'm not good at presenting at workshop.
Yeah.
And part of it's like I kind of want them to hear the finished version first, I guess. I'm sure that's part of it. The other comics, but also they're listening in workshop to give you feedback. Yeah. They're not listening to laugh.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of weird and awkward being up there, and so I'm not always good about going up at workshop, and I thought it would maybe be more like that.
Yeah.
Because I did some new material, but a lot of the material, because I was doing a longer set, a lot of the material I did was stuff that I know, of course my wife's heard everything, but Elena and Jen, two of the other comics there, I know they've heard this a bit, so I didn't know what kind of reaction I'd get in the room. So it actually turned out to be way better than I expected. And, so I was very pleasantly surprised with that.
I've heard kind of mixed reviews on it,
Yeah, I mean, it was weird.
Yeah.
It was definitely weird. But it wasn't too
my
bad.
whole thing, like, I was always very into the crowd,
Yeah.
And so I played, I mean, most of the things I did, I was like just trying to get the crowd involved or whatever in one way, shape, or form. And we played, as musicians, we played a lot of bars to, 2, 3, 4, 5 people. And got to a point where I was like, oh, I don't want to do these.
Yeah, those are rough.
Try to figure out how to make that not happen. So
Yeah.
That's the only reason why Nick actually kept me around is because you get a few drinks in me, and I'm right there in the middle of the dance floor, jumping around, going crazy.
This
and
is your hype man.
So
100%.
I probably need you then.
And all of a sudden, other people around in the crowd, they're just like, wow, I'm not going to look stupid.
Yeah. See, that's something
that's
that I'm not
100% true.
I'm not. I don't have a lot of energy. I don't talk real fast. So those are the things I'm trying to work on. Now when I first started, I paced a lot.
Yeah.
Like one of my buddies, I sent him the video, and he's like, "Man, the material's funny, but I got dizzy watching, because I was just pacing back." And that midnight stage is so small, so I'm just like, like an expectant father. Then when I got the high dive the first
time, midnight, are you talking
stage,
about the outside or the outside
so that
one?
little tiny stage, I'm
just like a
6'4",
little corner.
So I've cut down on actually the other night at the streaming show. I think I left the mic in the stand for probably the first half or 2/3 of the show. So I've gotten better about kind of just keeping my head up. Those types of things that I had to work on more. I feel like a lot of the writing, I had a little bit of a leg up just because I've toyed with it. I mean, I wasn't writing jokes per se, but I toyed with writing stuff here and there. And
well, what sort of stuff were you writing when you say you were writing? Because you were writing a lot before comedy.
Not a lot. No, I had lots of ideas, and that was kind of the problem. Is nothing really ever. I mean, I'm like, oh, maybe I'd kind of like to write about this.
Well, what were you considering, like, using those at, like are you talking like articles or books?
Yeah, probably more so. I mean, I had some ideas for like maybe some short stories or books, that maybe one day I'll still mess around with. Actually, my wife and I are working on a series. It's kind of like a children's book.
Yeah.
But kind of a practical, like a guide for young adults, kind of funny, silly, whatever, that we've been kind of toying with. So we're looking into some publishing for that.
Right.
But, I wanted to, mainly, honestly, I wanted to write stuff about, politics, religion, whatever, just making people think. I think that this country is getting scary.
Yeah.
The anti-intellectualism, the desire, the need for affirmation instead of information.
Yeah.
It's fucked up, man. That's scary.
I agree.
I mean, whether it's religion or politics or whatever, my thing is just think for yourself. Don't just because a preacher or a teacher or somebody told you, it doesn't mean it's true. So think, and that was kind of that was kind of my vision for what I wanted to do, and then it kind of turned into comedy. And in some ways, that's I always hate saying this because I sound fucking pretentious, but that's kind of how I feel. A lot of my, that's kind of how I write a lot of my jokes too, especially about religion and stuff. Like, I'm not trying to shit on anybody's religion.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, pointing out hypocrisy or cognitive dissonance and going,
people don't like that shit anymore.
Yeah, well, but
but
I think it's
offended.
Yeah, they do, and that's why, even though take Bob Smith for instance.
Right.
He teaches Sunday school.
Yeah. It's a good dude.
He's not offended by any of I run all these jokes by him, and he's like, they're funny.
Exactly.
So I'm not, and so the people who, if your faith is that shaky, that a joke that some fucking, midlife crisis,
some yahoo from around the corner.
Give me a break. And so, but I think it's important to do that and to put that kind of stuff out there. And so, now I have I've written fart jokes and sick masturbation jokes and shit too. I mean,
you gotta have those.
Yeah, I'm not trying to.
You gotta have the greatest hits,
right? I'm not trying to come out
I
here like,
done that
I have
in
a
few
message,
days.
but
I'm building up.
But the thing is the first rule is be funny though.
Yeah.
So I mean, because there are comedians who are like, hey, I want to get a message out, and that's fine and well, and that's not my that this is, I write jokes about those things because it's what I find interesting. I'm a weird guy, man.
Some people want to get up there and be like George Carlin, though.
Yeah,
you got it. Yeah, it takes a long time to build up to be
exactly,
that.
You know, I mean, he's on most people's top 5 lists.
Seriously,
he is still one of the top.
He's on my top 5.
But if he was like,
you can look at a lot of his stuff from 20 years ago, and it still holds.
But if he was like 27 getting up there doing it, nobody would take him seriously. Because he was who he was, and he'd been through what he'd been through, and lived the life that he lived.
Sure,
people took him seriously. You know,
but I mean, he was great.
Oh,
he's on my Mount Rushmore for sure.
Yeah.
You know,
Who else you got up there?
Oh, Chappelle, of course.
Yeah, is he not the? He has unlocked the secret to fucking like comedic universe. It's brilliant.
If I have a 1-minute open mic spot one day and he comes through and I get to shake that guy's hand, I will say I've accomplished everything I need to in comedy. He's just. But you know, it's the social commentary, and it's even the comedians who I really look up to and like are the ones who can make, like, even if I disagree with what they're saying, if it's fun, and you know, funny is funny, and that's what blows me away about so many of these comedians. You'll laugh for 45 minutes of somebody's fucking show, and then they bring up a topic that's close to your heart for whatever reason, and now you're fucking offended, or now you want to cancel. And you know, I don't get that.
Yeah.
I also don't get the whole like, hey, we've changed the rules, so now we're going to retroactively enforce them on you.
Fuck that.
That's
we were talking.
up.
We were talking about that on the way here.
You know,
why do I keep saying on the way here like I drove here?
You were here the whole time
on the trip to the studio.
Zoe Saldana, she has come out and apologized.
She's super hot
for being in the movie Nina Simone. Nina Simone was a black woman. Zoe Saldana is a black woman and Latina, and she's taking heat for being in this movie. And,
Jesus Christ!
And she came out and apologized. Bryan Cranston. They criticized him for doing the movie with Kevin Hart is a quadriplegic because they said they should have gotten a real quadriplegic. Like,
I think it was Jim Jeffries. Maybe somebody has a bit about that.
Like that shit's kind of weird.
But it's also, first of all, it's acting.
Yeah.
But
that's exactly what I said. I was like, it's an acting role.
Sure.
You're acting.
I get the argument for representation.
Sure.
You know, but
guess what's going to bring more visibility to that is somebody like that playing Bryan Cranston, the great fucking Bryan Cranston. You know, Malcolm in the Middle, and what was that other show he did? I don't remember.
Breaking Bad.
But that guy is going to. You want your movie to be seen. You want your story to be heard. That guy is going to get it done. You know, it just doesn't make sense to me.
It seems like they're, and I, maybe it's Pollyanna-ish, but I choose to believe it's a fairly small minority. It's just a loud minority of people who are looking to be offended, who are looking to be pissed off. I mean, that's the way it seems at times.
Well, I think now, some people are even sort of trying to get out in front of it.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, and like
now look, you know,
I better get out and apologize for this. It's like
there are certain things that are and maybe should be off limits, and that's whatever. That's fine.
Yeah. What do you think?
To me, there's a difference between. Well, as far as jokes, I don't know that there should be anything off limits as far as jokes, as long as it's clearly a joke.
Right.
What I don't like is mean-spirited for the sake of mean-spirited.
Yeah, that's sucks.
shitty. That's hack to me.
Agree.
Now, you know, I'll probably catch a lot of flack from some people for this, but and this is just my particular style. I never cared for, say, Andrew Dice Clay.
Yeah.
Sam Kinison, just kind of the shock, yelling, kind of,
Yep.
To me, I like Bill Hicks. I like words.
They get on my respectable list.
Oh, absolutely,
but,
sure.
But yeah.
I mean, they filled a gap that wasn't there, and so it's, you know, you can't take that away from them. It's just not my preference. I'm not a huge Richard Pryor fan.
Yeah. Kinison was brilliant in his own right, and Dice was, you know, he had his thing.
He had his
Pryor.
I mean, you'd be an idiot
I'm a
not
big
to
Pryor
chase
fan.
it.
You know, but you're right. It's each person. You know,
now don't
doesn't have to be everybody's flavor.
I certainly respect Richard Pryor, and I think he was very funny. His stand up on its own isn't necessarily my. I wouldn't put him in my top 5.
Yeah.
And on it, it's hard to even say that because really, outside of Carlin and Chappelle, I don't know that there is
Eddie Murphy. Eddie Murphy's in my top 5, man. I love it.
And so, I'm a few years older than you. Raw and Delirious, they were okay. Obviously, they don't hold up well, and that's part of it. I get it. But even back then, it was just never. Well, I shouldn't say they don't hold up well.
But I know what you're talking about.
Right. Today, they wouldn't be passed.
He couldn't get away with doing that act today.
I didn't watch it a ton as a kid, and maybe that's part of it. But Mitch Hedberg, genius,
love him,
absolute genius. He would maybe be on my on Rushmore. I mean, he now of course this sounds shitty, but he gets that whole "hey, you're dead" thing. That gives you a little boost in some ways because you can't go downhill, you can't fuck 100%. Up. I'm mostly a hip hop guy, but 311.
Love them,
dude. Their first 2 albums that most people don't even know about, Music and Grassroots.
Yeah,
amazing
records,
amazing. Then 311, the album 311 came out, their 3rd album that most people think is their first album, and it was good, but it was not that first shit.
So I'm sitting at the house.
Then they kind of went commercial, I'm
sitting at the house one night, and my phone rings. I had just been to a 311 concert here in Gainesville, and sitting there at the couch, my phone rings. It's my friend Damien. I answer the phone, and this guy says, "Hey, is this Nick?" And I said, "Yeah. This is Damien. What's up?" And he says, "No, man, this is Nick Hexum from 311." I was like,
"Nice,
good show, man." That was all I had.
Nice,
thanks.
We saw them at Florida Theater when I was 21.
Oh yeah,
right after 311 came out. They played 5 songs off 311 and played almost everything off Music and Grassroots.
Dude.
And that shit was amazing.
At the Florida Theater here in off
I don't
University.
even know I don't even know what it's called anymore. 21. So I was 21. So that was what 22, 23 years ago, something like that. But it was before they really cracked off. They had just released 311, and they had Down and a couple. They got a little bit of radio play, I think, off a couple of the first 2 albums. But those first 2 albums that were just
they seemed to be missing for a few years, and then they came back with that Amber song.
Transistor was garbage in my opinion.
Yeah, it wasn't great.
And then Amber, I think, was their next album that went on. But I tend to like the Chili Peppers, Blood Sugar Sex Magic.
Love it.
One of my top 5 albums. After that, just kind of once they go commercial, it just kind of doesn't.
I'm still a fan of Californication. I'm a big John Frusciante fan.
See, you know a lot more music than I know too.
Frusciante was. He just made that Chili Peppers sound, that California vibe, Californication, that's all John Frusciante, and he they had Hillel in there at the beginning, and then Frusciante after him, and then
on One Hot Minute they had what's his name from Jane's Addiction, that
Dave,
everybody fucking hit, Dave Navarro. Everybody fucking hated, but he's a great guitar. I mean,
I loved the Airplane song that came off that.
I like that album.
Not Airplane, Roller Coaster.
I haven't admitted that to very many people, but I mean, I like that album with Dave Navarro.
Well, that's all right. We don't have very many people listening, so it's okay.
But I'm mostly a hip hop guy. I like words. I mean, and that's another reason I got into comedy, because really,
I thought that you got into hip hop because you didn't want to be a part of the. You want to be a part of the Wu-Tang Clan.
I do want to be a part of the Wu-Tang
other
Clan.
Clan.
Yes, exactly. That is true.
It still floors people when I can sing.
I love the Wu-Tang Clan.
Dre Day front to back.
Oh yeah.
Everybody's like, "What the fuck?" I grew up listening to the Chronic.
I'll be in the shower and just start singing the Shiznit from the middle, from Doggy Style.
Chronic, Doggy Style. I grew up listening to that shit.
I'm more of an East Coast guy, like Tribe Called Quest, Wu-Tang Clan. That first Mobb Deep album is amazing. Biggie's first album is amazing.
Yeah.
But I like words, and that's what I've told people. Like, writing jokes is just manipulating words. That's all you're doing. You're taking words and you know what I mean. I love my Facebook, the business side or whatever. The Inks-a-ton. My last name is Atkinson. Inks-a-ton is just Atkinson scrambled up.
Right.
And Inks writes a ton, a lot. Writes a lot. So it's like I
get it now.
I like manipulating shit and taking in like something. If I haven't written any jokes for a few days, I'll write a fucking haiku.
Do you sit down and write every day or
no,
like
not as often as I should. I've gotten to where I do it in the computer now. When I first started, I mean, it was like pencil on pad or pen and paper, you know, and I would write out my sets before I would go up because that was a way to help me memorize them. Now, of course, I memorize the jokes, but I don't usually do the same jokes in the same order, so I don't have a set per se.
But you have all your jokes memorized though?
Oh yeah. I mean,
do you have
for the most part. I mean,
I've seen a handful of people go up there and they're like,
Usually what I do is I will take a note card, and an index card, and I name all my jokes.
Right.
So early on, I would write, because I never did the same jokes in the same order.
Yeah.
I would always try and bring something new, or at the very least switch it up. But usually I was trying to bring new shit out too, and so I would usually write the name of the joke, and in the beginning I would write maybe like the beginning of a transition, because I try to have a transition to every. I try and make my sets flow in whatever jokes I decide on.
Yep.
I'll decide, okay, this week I got 10 minutes, I want to do these 8 jokes. I'll put them in the order I want to do them in, and then kind of, you know, try to figure out like
a cadence and a flow.
Right, make transitions. Okay, does this one flow into this joke? Well, wait, if I tell this joke first, I can't do this callback kind of thing, you know. And so I'll put it together that way. So now usually what I do is I'll have just an index card, and I just write the name of the joke in the order that it's in. So that way if I'm, oh shit, where am I going next? Then I know the next joke I'm going to, but I don't have, you know, like whole jokes written down or whole punchlines or anything like that written down. You know, I'll just do the name of the joke, and then that way, and I'll just set it on the stool like beside my water or drink or whatever I have. That way, if I'm like, oh fuck, where am I going now? You know, I look down, see the next joke, and I know where to go. And that's not great. You know, I mean, I want to get to the point where I'm not doing that, but for me, it's not about the jokes as much. You know, I know the jokes. It's what order am I doing them, because I don't keep that same consistent.
Yeah.
You know.
Now, have you thought about doing that though? Just building up like consistent. You know.
Yeah, we were actually talking to my wife and I were talking about that last night.
I wonder if it'd be better, because the reason I ask is in the band, one of the things that we really worked hard on was, you know, making sure that we had, you know, everything that would hit at the right time. You know, and we would sort of try to cater to the show where we were playing at and all that sort of stuff.
Right.
But right off top, it was like, let's hit them hard with 3 songs. We're not even going to say a word, and they're not going to, you know, no introduction, no nothing. We're just going to go right into it and run through it, and then it's going to be, you know, before the 4th song, before we even stop and tell you who we are or what we're all about, where we're from.
See, now I never even thought about that, like catering your set list in a song, because like I haven't been able to travel much yet. Unfortunately, 2020 kind of shit on that.
Just a little bit.
I ended probably the end of 2019 is when I was like, fuck, I might actually be able to do this a little bit. And so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna, you know, I started talking to AJ. We were talking about hitting the road and doing some out of town shows, and but I haven't really been on the road yet. But I know, like, when I did a show in Newberry, I had 15 minutes. I'm not doing religion jokes in Newberry.
Yeah, probably not going to go.
Yeah, you know, I mean, because I just, you know, and certain people, and everybody has their own philosophy on it. You know, some people are like, you just do your material. Fuck it. If they don't like it, they don't like it. But I think you kind of have to know your crowd too. Now, again, and like I said, I think most rational people, if they listen to most of my jokes, I'm not really shitting on religion.
Right.
But I'm questioning, and that's enough to offend some people,
I guess. Every time.
I grew up in this area.
Yeah.
I know what. I'm not going to go to Newberry and start telling jokes about, you know, God needing a therapist and shit like that. You know, I mean, and so that's, you know, but I never really thought of that from the Yeah, I do actually have a joke where God needs a therapist. I'll tell you that later.
Since
it's not all ironed out yet. I've told it a couple times on stage. It doesn't get what I think it deserves, but
since we started this podcast, I've noticed, talking to several different comedians, you know, that there's, I mean, it's all performance. It's delicious. What is this? We should shout this out. This is
it comes in a box of
Dos Madeiras. Dos Madeiras.
5 + 5.
We're gonna definitely shout them out.
Aged for 5 years. and a further 5 years.
We should do a rum challenge at some point.
Oh, that's a good idea.
We've got the whiskey challenge. I don't know if you've heard any of those.
Can we invite Cam?
I was saying, I haven't had rum in a while. This is really
This is delicious.
Good.
It's so smooth.
It is. It almost has like a
really
little bit
is.
like a honey, kind of like a sweetness to it, like aftertaste.
I mean, there's no burn.
No.
It's like just...
There's just
delicious.
there's just enough spice for your so you know that you're drinking it.
You only say that because you've been drinking Trulies, and this is a better...
Shut the fuck up.
Hey, I saw you got pretty excited. I sent you that link about that Truly ice cream. Did you look into that?
Haven't.
You didn't look into it?
What is this Trulies?
Because you said OMG when I sent it to you.
Yeah, well, that was like a negative.
Busted.
It was like, oh my god.
I didn't get the negative vibe.
It was the downward tone.
He likes Trulies.
I don't know. Is that
it's like a seltzer water alcohol beer thing that chicks are drinking White Claws.
White Claws.
It's like a White Claw.
It's the manly version of White Claw.
I don't know about that.
Come on.
I'm not a big seltzer guy. I mean, I do drink vodka tonics, so...
I just have them around the house all the time because Courtney drinks them.
Oh, yeah.
They're always around.
Right.
So it's just like, I don't have any beer in the house. Oh,
do you wear her panties when you run out of boxers
sometimes?
Too? Okay, well, fair enough then.
It doesn't really fit. It just really usually just gets to like my right knee, and then it just stops there.
Some of them look pretty comfortable, though, don't they? Some of those boy shorts and stuff. Nice and thin, you never know. But my wife's like half my size.
I mean, the
I'm the same way.
I would imagine the airflow would be
when
nice.
When I come stand
my
behind
girlfriend
my wife,
is half of his size, and he's like half midget.
True story.
When I come stand behind my wife in the mirror, her face is here, and sometimes my head is above the mirror. Yeah, it just looks like we look like a set of Russian dolls, which is ironic considering how much time I spend trying to get inside of her. But
well, so Kev, how
it's
tall
2020,
I'm not that tall. I'm not 6 feet.
No, you are definitely 6. You're definitely probably about
5'16", I think. 5'16".
It's about right.
I don't like people picking on short people, man. I don't know why. I'm very uncomfortable by that. So
Cam is my new best friend.
Yeah, I always try and.
Cam's my new friend.
Me too, because I'm also 5'16".
So I believe my driver's license still says 6'5". I played soccer in high school, and when I went to get my physical, my senior year, they put 6'5", and I had on sneakers, whatever. So. When I probably got in my mid-20s and I started getting fatter and I could no longer dunk, I started saying I was 6'4" because it sounds slightly better. And my wife would be like, "You're not 6'4", you're 6'5". I'm like, "I'm not 6'4". So one day she measured me and I was like 6'4.5". But when you're 6'4",
I was going to say,
unless you're going to the combine, you're not putting that half inch, and plus, I'm trying to make it look better, not worse. I
was going to say I'm 6'4", and your eyes are higher than mine.
Yeah.
So unless you have a weird shaped face,
I'm 5'4" and a half.
Are you really?
When you're 5'4", you count the half. You make sure that gets put in.
That
there.
makes sense.
That's important. So I never let him skimp on the.
I like to carry him around like a baby sometimes.
Yeah,
he likes to suck on his thumb.
You know what?
Weird.
Look,
it's
I mean,
weird.
people will say to me, "Oh, it must be nice to be so tall." It's like
no,
like 99.99% of things in this world,
are
not black and white, good and bad.
I would imagine good and bad on both sides.
Yeah, hitting your head on a fucking
beam, that's exactly it,
or on a ceiling fan,
not being able to get shit off the top shelf. Kind of sucks sometimes.
Well, my wife's like 5'2", 5'3". Yeah, so I mean,
that's also kind of an issue too, because you're the tall guy. Then you're just like trying to like rush through Walmart trying to get the shit done, and like some person is just like, "Hey, can you reach that for me?"
And then you got the stuff on the bottom shelf that's got to be kind of a pain in the ass.
Well, yeah. I have a bad back.
My wife's always like,
it's kind of
"Don't
sore.
you see this?" I'm like, "You know how far away that is? That's on the floor."
See, so Cam and I, we just became best friends, and now he wants to move out to Denver.
Have you been to Denver yet?
No,
I have.
I have never been.
It's amazing. I love it there.
I went there before they legalized everything.
Oh, yeah.
I had an aunt that lived in Greeley.
Okay, yeah. So my wife lived there until she was like 12. She's been here ever since. But so we've gone out and visited a bunch, of course. You know, her grandma, all of her family, other than her mom, dad, and sister, are still out there. Mm-hmm. So I've spent quite a bit of time out there, and I love it. It's just so
Dude,
gorgeous.
Colorado is so beautiful.
So we were there. It's probably been 5-6 years ago now, I'd guess. In August, I want to say, and we were at the zoo, and my wife's grandma goes, "Oh gosh, it's just been so humid here lately. I'm sorry, it's so humid here." Said,
was it like 12% humidity?
35.
35.
I'm like, "Oh yeah, Graham, what's it?" She goes, "It's been around 35% lately." I'm like, yeah.
Oh wow, that's rough. A few years back, I went up to Michigan.
Here's the world's smallest violin.
Right?
And it was,
yeah.
I got a bunch of family up in Michigan, and it was middle of summer, and people were dying in their homes, literally dying. It was so hot up there.
Yeah.
And I was jeans and T-shirt, and in the shade, it was cold. And my family's sitting over there, and they're sweating, and they can't.
It's crazy.
Oh my God!
It's a whole different thing.
What is wrong with you people? It's 100 degrees. No.
Where in Michigan?
No, this is
like
not 100.
Is it like the UP or like way up?
Right outside of Flint.
Okay. Yeah, my
drinking water capital.
Yeah, right. I have a cousin who moved up to, I think he was in the UP up there. And,
it's beautiful.
He said, and he lived here his whole life.
The UP is beautiful.
He's 5 years older than I am, and this was, shit, my daughter was little, so probably 10 years ago, 12 years ago, something. But he lived up there a couple years, and he had to come back. But you also, because we actually looked into the possibility of Toronto. Also, my daughter wants to, my daughter wants to act. She's taught herself some editing and stuff like that. Yeah. She wants to do something in film. And so we were looking a little bit at and they actually, because of the lakes, they have a bit of humidity there. Yeah. And I tell people all the time, 32 in Denver does not feel like 32 here.
No.
The humidity makes the heat worse, but it makes the cold worse too.
Oh yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
32 here, you feel it in your bones.
Yes.
32 out there. When my wife's when her grandfather was still alive, I'd go out in a pair of jeans and just a regular gator sweatshirt to shovel snow.
Yep. I did that.
There's something about that moisture in the air that just really soaks in.
Well, it's like everybody knows. I was born and raised in Wisconsin. And
I did know that. My grandma's from Wisconsin. I love Wisconsin. It's beautiful.
It's beautiful for
a
couple weeks out of the year, but yeah, no, like it drops down to like 30, and it hurts.
Yeah,
it hurts.
My grandmother, who's been gone for about 20 years. This is actually her signature. I was able to find her signature and get it tattooed. I'm real close with her. She was from Wisconsin originally, born on a farm, 1920 in Wisconsin. And so in 1997, Sarah and I, we had just been living together for a little while, not even quite a year, I guess, at that point. And we had like a family reunion up there. My grandma was still alive. So it's the end of June, because I think we left on the 4th of July. So it's like the end of June, beginning of July. And we were staying on some lake. We were right about in the middle of the state, like about an hour north of Eau Claire, maybe. Mm-hmm. It seems like we were like almost dead center of Wisconsin, right?
Probably like Appleton or something.
Yeah, like up near there. Well, no, I think even more like center east and west, center north and south almost. Probably farther south, but in the middle of the state. Anyway, this storm comes through on July 1st or whatever day it is, and we're in these tiny little cabins. My dad, my brother, Sarah, and I. No heat, no nothing. This storm comes through, and it drops to like 40 fucking degrees in the middle. Like, this is end of June, beginning of July. And it just like, luckily, I'm a terrible overpacker because my brother and my dad, neither one brought like any sweatshirts, jeans, nothing. It's fucking summer, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, Wisconsin, I've only been once, and because of my grandma, and I like Viking shit, as you can see from my, Mjolnir tattoo.
Gotta love the
I have a soft spot for Wisconsin. It's the only, outside of the Gators, the Badgers are the only other college team I cheer for with any kind of regularity.
So were you born in Gainesville?
Lake City,
Lake
but
City.
yeah. I've lived we live up in Alachua now. I've more or less lived within about 35 miles of my house my entire life. So
And now
I'm very excited to get the fuck out of here.
Get the fuck on and go to Denver. That is, I mean, I'm a fan of shit like that.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, that's just it. You know,
I
mean,
love just going out and doing shit. You know,
my
where
mom
do you want to
was
go
very
and going
upset.
there?
You know, I'm really gonna give this stand up thing a try.
Yeah,
you know,
you should.
I think, and this is weird for me because I'm not used to being confident and I won't say happy. I'm used to being happy. I'm a happy person. I'm not used to being confident, but I'm pretty confident. I'm actually pretty fucking decent at this.
Yeah.
And so I feel like, yeah, you know, why the fuck not? Why not give it a shot?
Absolutely.
We're only here for a short time. You know, So here's my belief system. I want to believe that there's some type of universal justice. Call it karma, call it whatever.
I'm with you.
I don't think it's on an individual basis. If it is real, I think it's much larger than, oh, you fucked this one person over, so now
Yeah.
you know. But I hope I hope I get to see my grandma in some fashion or form, spiritually, whatever, down the road. I hope I'm reunited with my kids and my wife after I die.
Yeah.
But the logical part of my brain has a real hard time with that.
Doesn't it, though? I'm going to tell you a funny story. This is something that just recently came to fruition for me that I was told about. So there's a house up in Michigan that my grandfather bought, raised his family in Linden, Michigan.
Okay.
And he drove back and forth every day to, I think it was Dearborn. Worked in a Ford plant as a welder. And so he passed away in 86.
Okay.
My great grandmother lived until 2010. So
Wow.
there's a big gap there.
Yeah.
The home that my grandfather bought, when he passed, my grandmother sold it.
Sure.
know, and
Understandable.
she lived in a retirement community for like the remainder of her time, and but the family that bought it from her is the same family that owns it today, and they haven't changed a thing. Apparently, the interior still looks the same and all that stuff, but after she passed, the family who is still in contact with my aunt, who, you know, their daughter, my aunt ran into him, and they told her that they had heard a piano and a fiddle playing.
Jesus.
And these are the same people
In an empty house
that bought this house just a few years after my grandfather passed.
Jesus.
Had never heard music playing. Now, when I grew up, my grandfather always played the fiddle. I have the fiddle in my house right now. But it wasn't until my great grandmother passed, that they heard fiddle and piano together, which is what they used to do together.
Dude.
And we're talking about 30 years.
See, and that's why
They never heard that shit.
I don't consider myself atheist.
Right.
I consider myself agnostic. I certainly lean toward the atheist side, I would say. I don't believe that there's some entity out there who's watching us, who's clicking off whether or not I cheated on my wife or cursed on Sunday or drank a fucking beer.
I got a lot of friends who are very religious and
me
who are
too.
devout. I mean, I got friends who are preachers, and
Yep.
but I don't believe the Bible at all. I don't put any stock in it personally. That's just a me thing.
Agreed.
And I've read it. I've read it like 3 times.
Yeah.
I still have the Bible that my friend gave me.
That's why a lot of Christians don't really like to debate me, because I've read it.
Right. and so it's just one of those things. I see the holes in it.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's sort of the way that I approach a lot of things.
Well, and that's just it. I mean, here's where I'm at. And I don't want to, I hate this, because my grandmother, who was a very, very intelligent person, was also very much a Christian, very faithful.
But I think it also had a place and a time, and
absolutely.
It was there was more to really take away from it for a long time. And
I actually want to make a T-shirt that just says, "Faith is less than," or no, facts are greater than faith.
Yeah.
Because that's, to me, like, so is it possible that there's some cosmic whatever out there who set evolution in motion?
Yep.
Sure. I don't
I'm
understand
not
the people,
and
I have them in my family. I don't understand the people who the Earth is 6,000 years old, and this, I mean, that shit I don't get. That then that's and so I have a hard. I try really hard not to shit on faith.
Yeah,
I wasn't raised, so my parents were not religious when I was a kid.
Right.
My grandma took us to church. I went to church with friends and family. I've read the Bible. I find religion fascinating, but I just can't buy in. And I actually told somebody the other day. I said, look, I don't necessarily believe in God, but if God's real, I'm a big fan.
Yeah.
See,
women are beautiful. Mountains are beautiful. The ocean is beautiful. The stars are beautiful. The universe, amazing. Big fan of God. I don't like religion.
Yeah.
I don't like people, because religion.
I think religion's used to fucking control people.
Right, and that's what I think. That's the part I don't like. Like, I used to have a really hard time with a lot of my black friends when I first started feeling this way. Because I did believe in God. I was, I was a Christian, even though I wasn't super, super indoctrinated. And when I started reading real history, and I started reading different religious texts and things like that, I was like, man, I would talk to my black friends and go, how can y'all believe this shit? Because people use this as justification for enslavement and all these things. And I was really, even though I wasn't fully in the church, I felt like, fuck, man, I've been lied to. This, because I can remember being, 3, 4, 5 years old, being in a church in Lake City and hearing the preacher say black skin was the mark of Cain. And when I'm 4 or 5 years old, I didn't think jack shit about it. But when I'm 19 years old and I call back and remember that, I'm going, what the fuck?
Yeah.
This is, so really it's not God I have a problem with.
Yeah.
It's religion. It's the when people take it to that point.
Well, I think it's man is the problem.
Yeah.
And I think that when man gets in there and gets his hands in there, that's when things start. That's when
it gets funky.
Fucked up.
And people are like, well, it's the word of God, but I'm like, it's been translated thousands of times.
But how do we know that? How do we know that?
Well, we don't, because it's not, because it's the fever dream of some
because
fucking epileptic.
Some dude said, God told me to write these words down.
Right.
I mean, how can we verify that? And ask yourself this: if somebody came out today and said, "Hey, man, God gave me a new book for the Bible," what do you think would be the reaction to that?
If somebody came up to you today and said, "I'm a virgin, but I'm pregnant," what would you think? Turkey baster, liar,
bullshit.
Those are your two options:
methamphetamine,
turkey baster, liar.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
or maybe the remote third, boyfriend didn't wash his hands after jerking off. I mean, not likely.
Probably not.
Or methamphetamine.
You know what I've always said about Mary? This is, maybe I shouldn't share this on there.
I think you should.
It seems suspicious. I mean, think about it, right? Mary, and Angel, named Gabriel, came to visit her in the middle of the night. Told her to name her baby Jesus. It sounds like Mary got knocked up by a Puerto Rican to me.
Gabriel, you Slick bastard.
Think about it.
Yeah.
Nobody other than, Hispanic people name their kid Jesus. Everybody else is scared to name. They're not scared to name their kids Jesus. Who gives a shit, right?
And
they should. Good for them. I think Jesus was Hispanic. That's
I was in
a
doctor's office a couple weeks ago. I had to get a physical for work, and they gave you name tags.
What kind of physical did they?
Where they stick the finger right up your fucking
right up in there.
No.
Isn't that the worst?
No, calm down. Don't violate my privacy.
You know what the worst part of of getting that examination was?
What's that?
Coming on the doctor's table.
I would imagine. I would imagine that would be. That makes for a really awkward day. You got a tissue, man?
I was really hoping that it would go that direction. That was awesome.
So I go and I take this physical, and they give everybody name tags. So mine says Nick, and I look across, and there's a guy, and his name tag says Jesus. And then the nurse comes out, and she goes, Jesus.
Oh, boy.
Jesus. And he's like, yep, that's me. He went by Jesus, apparently.
Hey, well.
I didn't know people did that.
And you got that,
the Big Lebowski.
You got Jesus'
he went
finger.
by Jesus?
Huh?
Did you get Jesus' finger?
Jesus. What the fuck did were
were
you
you
an
still talking about the
Jesus
physical?
was the doctor.
I think he was an altar boy. Were you an altar boy?
Were you still talking about the?
You talking about Jesus fingered? What?
What?
I don't know. I think we're borderline blasphemy.
Sorry, Grandma.
Though.
I think I was on a different line. Shut up, Matt.
I think you've been touched by Jesus a little differently than the rest of us have.
Something.
There was a couple things I was going to say, and I'm not going to say it.
But yeah, why do people? That's what I don't get. Like, why do people take that shit so seriously? God has a sense of humor.
You gotta let it roll off.
If there's God's real, of course he has. I mean, look at a fucking platypus. God doesn't have a sense of humor.
You gotta let stuff roll. I mean, people don't do that now enough these days.
And that's just. I mean, I have to say, a couple of my jokes, I guess I take a little bit of a shot at like Scientologists and Mormons, which my mom grew up Mormon.
Well, Scientology is a total bullshit religion.
Well, I mean, have you seen?
It's a total bullshit religion.
Mormonism is crazy too, though.
Is it? I don't know as much about Mormonism.
Well, now they believe in Jesus, but they believe that when he resurrected himself, he came to America.
Wait, like where in America?
I believe it was like 35 minutes south of Kansas City, Missouri.
Was this like modern times?
Yeah.
I was really hoping they were going to say like West Virginia.
No, it was after he died. It was after he died, so 2,000 years ago.
Oh.
Yeah. So they think that the Garden of Eden is in Missouri, not Mesopotamia. They have a hard time hearing. Yes, they have a hard time hearing. They also, oddly enough, they heard Missouri instead of Mesopotamia. They also heard Mormon instead of moron. So that's how they got their name. So, oddly enough, yeah. No, my mom grew up Mormon. We were not. No, she really did. We were not raised in it. We were not raised in it, and so I did not know a ton about it. But as she's getting older, she's kind of going back to it a little bit. And so I got a Book of Mormon, and I haven't read it yet, but I'm really intrigued to read it. Like,
are you talking about like the Trey Parker, Matt Stone?
Oh, no. Actually, well, now they did. They wrote a musical called The Book. Yes, actually,
yeah.
we bought tickets. They was here in Gainesville. Yes. It's called Book of Mormon.
That sounds phenomenal.
It was at the Performing Arts Center in January.
Really?
Yes. It was here. My wife's birthday is January 15th. We went. I got tickets. I'm not a big musical guy. It was hilarious, but it was a musical. So if you like music, but it was
I like a
good brutal.
musical.
It was brutal, but it's hilarious.
Yeah.
Joe Rogan actually. I don't know if you guys are Rogan fans.
A little bit.
I was surprised. I'm not an MMA guy.
Yeah.
I never watched an episode of Fear Factor, and my brother was like, "Oh, watch this Rogan special on Netflix," and I'm like, "Guy's a fucking meathead." I didn't know anything about him really, and I watched this. I actually do like him. I am a fan.
I was a fan of his back in the early 90s.
Yeah, news radio days.
Well, there was he did like an HBO special or something way back when, and I had this tape my parents worked for the cable company, so as like a
wait, you have a tape like a
caveat.
VHS?
Yeah, it was a VHS tape. It had like Rogan and I think Carlin and like different, just different comedians on
it,
man, and just a bunch of clips, and that's where I first heard about him. Was on something like that.
Yeah, I was surprised. I mean, I think he's I mean, some of it's just out there. But see, I'm the same way. I like a lot of weird, obscure shit. Like, there's sometimes
nothing wrong with that.
There's sometimes I'm like, oh, I should write a joke about this, but I'm like, fuck, man, I'd have to spend 15 minutes on the setup trying to explain what this shit is. Like that. Have you guys seen the show Ancient Aliens?
Fuck yeah!
I fucking love that show.
Fuck yeah! And what about the Pentagon confirming aliens are like a real thing?
Look, there's first of all, if you don't believe in aliens in this day and age, you're a fucking idiot.
Agreed.
Now, let me say this with a caveat. I don't know if they've made it to Earth. The universe is huge.
The Pentagon sure as fuck thinks they have.
I haven't seen that. I'll have to look.
They said there was off.
Well, there's tons of UFOs.
Vehicles.
Yeah, there's tons of UFO evidence now.
They said they had recovered off Earth vehicles.
Oh, I have not seen that yet.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
The fucking like CIA said that shit or something.
So
FBI.
Here's
but they don't know if those were actually like vehicles as for like transportation or vehicles as far as like different minerals or materials.
See, here's my thing.
Off
actually
Earth
coming in.
Vehicles.
Here's my thing. There's no doubt there's aliens.
I agree.
The universe. If there's only
you would have to be a moron.
If there's only one intelligent species,
space is
per
infinite.
galaxy. I mean, there's 100 billion galaxies with 100 billion stars in each galaxy, and if you've read anything about string theory, there may be multiple universes.
Sorry,
there's definitely other shit living out there.
Have you ever tried DMT?
No, but no, I have not. No,
it sounds like a lot of fun. We talk about psychedelics every now and again. The actual word was found off-world vehicles. The Pentagon has reportedly found off-world vehicles not made on this Earth.
That is
like,
fucking amazing.
I mean, that says like there's shit out there.
I mean,
doesn't it?
Look, so there's no way there's not shit out there. I wish I could sit here and tell you that I'm smart enough to actually understand string theory. I do not.
Me neither.
But if you know anything at all about string theory, you know that mathematically there's I think 10 or 11 dimensions are necessary to make the math work in string theory. So to think that there's other dimensions, maybe that's what deja vu is. Maybe maybe we really truly only our brains can only handle time in one direction, but who knows how time really works? I mean, maybe everything's fun. Maybe that's what deja vu is, because the same shit's happening to a same you in another dimension somewhere. Who the fuck knows? I mean, so to act like, and that's what blows me away about some atheists. Some atheists are like, there's nothing, and they're just as definitive. Like their lack of belief is almost dogmatic.
Yeah,
it's almost as strong as the belief of the faithful, and that's what I don't get, because we're fucking dumb. In the grand scheme of things, we're dumb.
I don't understand how you can be so rooted in something that you like just people that cannot be fucking swayed. Just
and that's
period.
how I feel, and that's honestly, I mean,
it's not getting swayed.
No, I think you always got to have
it's
some
just like
give.
you have to have some give to it. It's just like, all right, look, this is my belief. This is your belief.
But that
might.
I think you always have to. But
that's what's happened. That's what's
happened
with our politics and stuff right now too. Though it's more important to be right or to have somebody else tell you they agree with you than it is to. And that's how, I mean, I'm not trying to shit on religion. I'm not trying to shit on God. Look, I know that faith and religion has done some wonderful things in this world, but it's unarguably done some fucking terrible things in this world too. And
all
if you
the time,
whether it's what we're going through in
we're
America,
talking about the Crusades was a great time.
Yeah.
Everybody loved it.
Fantastic. Got the T-shirt.
But really, I mean, think about it. Whether we're talking about what we're going through in America today with the civil rights, different movements and things like that, like people just they're more worried about being right or being affirmed than they are about listening to another perspective, listening to maybe why this person feels this way. Yep. They would rather be like, oh no, they want to be. And look, nobody likes talking more than me. I mean, when I got a chance to close the show, I literally opened my set with, thank you guys for coming out. Those of you who know me know how much I love to talk. For the rest of you, you're in for a treat because I got a microphone and an unlimited time slot.
It's great for a podcast guest. I can tell you that it's fantastic.
But really, it's I've always said I'm not trying to sway anybody. I don't want anybody to quit believing in God because of
I
me.
disagree with you 100% right now.
Yeah. Okay. Well, but let's talk about it though. See,
no, I'm not going to talk about it.
And that's the problem is how many people are like that though, right?
I hope you know that I'm just joking.
No, I do. I know, but I mean, but that's what I'm saying. That's how many. There's so many people who want to shut you down because you've expressed some opinion that they disagree with on some level.
Yeah, people will just tell you just they'll just tell you just nope, you're wrong. I'm not going to talk to you anymore.
And they want to cancel you.
And
they
want
to
walk
do this.
away.
And I mean, I've always said, I'm. Not to get into politics, I'm not a Trump guy. I don't care for him as a person.
No, we're just talking about stupid people that are super opinionated.
But that's the thing is, one of the things that I kept hearing when Trump was making his surge was, I like that he's not politically correct. And the thing that I would always say to people is, I agree. I think that political correctness has gone too far in some aspects in this country, but there's a difference between being quote unquote non-PC and just being a dick.
Yeah.
And some people are just out there trying to be a dick. That's different than being. If you have something clever to say in a smart way and you want to draw attention to an issue, that's one thing. Just going out there and bullying people, fuck that.
Do you remember the movie Man of the Year with Robin Williams? It was like late 90s, early 2000s.
Yes, I remember the movie.
He played
I think I saw it at some point, but it's probably been forever.
He played
it was Dad of the Year.
No, it was Man of the Year. He played like a Bill Maher type character. And he's a political commentator. Wound up being president. He was very brash. He was very outspoken. He said "fuck you" to his opponents, and you go kiss my ass and all that sort of stuff. And I remember watching that movie, and I thought, if somebody ever ran for president and acted like that, they would win. I guarantee it.
Well, you were right on that.
And then it happened.
Money on it.
And it happened.
It did.
I firmly believed that Trump was going to win. I firmly believe he's going to win this time around.
I do too. I think that the DNC just did the exact same thing they did last time.
I don't think they want to win.
No,
I think it's a game.
Here's my take.
I think it's a game. I think they let Trump have it. They
so we were talking
beat him up.
About.
I think it's a fucking game, though.
We talked.
Hey Cam,
about,
can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
What does your head smell like?
Right now, probably shave butter. I shaved before I came over, so
that's so nice.
It's silky smooth. No,
so
but
tell me about
I think And look, I'm not a Democrat or a Republican. I really dislike both parties very much. I've said for years and years and years, I wish a non-politician would run.
Yeah.
I've always despised Donald Trump. I've never seen any of his shows. I think he's a fucking horrible person. But here's the thing. He was never going to get. He could cure cancer, and he will never get credit from a certain part of.
That's true.
The same way that Barack Obama would never get credit from a certain population.
That is true.
Now,
100%.
If I'm being perfectly honest, I did not vote for Donald Trump. I also never voted for Barack Obama. Yeah. I tend to vote third party. I tend to vote against the incumbent.
What do you think about Jorgensen? Because my brother and sister-in-law, they have been all in on Jorgensen. And it's great. I get it. But I've been stopping by the Libertarian Party page, and it is highly divided.
Here's the thing about libertarians, and I have friends who are like, "Oh, you're a libertarian." I'm not.
Yeah.
If I absolutely had to choose a party, it would maybe be the Libertarian Party.
Sure.
Simply because I tend to be a little more conservative fiscally
Right.
But I am very, very liberal socially.
100%.
I
Same
think
here.
all drugs should be legal.
Yeah.
I have no desire to smoke crack or shoot smack.
Yeah.
But you're not going to get rid of it.
Right.
We
might as well fucking make a few bucks on the back end.
I've never been with a prostitute. I have no desire to be a prostitute. It's ridiculous that that's illegal.
Yeah.
Wait. You have no desire to be a prostitute.
Be with a prostitute.
Oh, okay.
If I could be a prostitute and my wife would sign off, sure. But
I was gonna say, like, I got $50.
I have to pay my wife to have sex with me. Nobody's gonna pay me to have sex. Trust me. But I mean, I think gambling. I'm not a gambler.
Yeah.
I go to Vegas and I'm like, oh, okay, I got $200 to gamble
why
with, and
is
I'd
it
lose
illegal?
$20, and I'm like, fuck this. I'm not. I mean,
why is it illegal to catch rainwater in the state of Florida?
If you're an adult,
Jesus,
and that's what blows me away. About so many of these people who are like anti-mask, right? It's like, oh, I'm against matter. They're taking my rights. Like, you got to wear pants when you go in, right? Like. It's just one more. I mean, look, we're not as free as everybody. We love and look. I love America. I love that I'm born in this country. Do not get me wrong. I have lots of friends and family who have fought, some who have died for this country.
Yep.
However, we're not fucking perfect.
No.
And that's what blows me away. This idea, the amount of hubris in this country. We act like it can't happen here. Well, the Romans fell, the Greeks fell. The Huns fell.
Yep.
The English fell.
Yep.
The amount of hubris and it can't happen. Of course it can happen.
Oh yeah, it could. Of
course it can happen here.
Very well.
Why is it that the most diverse nation that has ever existed on this planet has two choices? Gary Johnson, if you actually got a chance to hear what Gary Johnson had to present, he actually had a good message. His message was the two-party system is broken. Our founding fathers never wanted us to have a two-party system. We need to change shit now.
Why hasn't somebody
money
that really wants to
money?
But you know it as well as I do. Like, that's what would change it. So I know nobody's a fan of Donald Trump, but let me just say, if a person like Trump had come out as a Libertarian Party candidate.
I voted for Gary Johnson. I would have definitely voted for a Libertarian Party.
But I mean, if anybody, if anybody, and I mean Donald Trump from a financial standpoint, from a larger than life personality standpoint, somebody who's going to give it like instantly, people are going to be paying attention to that party.
The man knows how to build a brand.
Sure, 100%.
He knows how to build. You can talk about the bankruptcies, and I even mentioned a bankruptcy in one of my bits and whatever. I don't like him as a person, but regardless, I mean, and that's what I don't understand is when did we come to a point where because I disagree with you, you have no redeeming qualities.
Right. I think that's total bullshit.
You're on the other team.
Yeah.
Fuck you forever.
When did this detest
happen?
that. I detest that.
It's red versus blue, like
all the way,
right.
all the way.
And what the fuck happens to us purple people?
Yeah.
Because I refuse to register with either party because you know what? I am pro Second Amendment.
Yeah.
Although I think that you should have some. I don't think there's any reason for anybody to have a fucking bazooka.
Yeah.
But I'm also pro-choice.
Where's
my party?
I will digress on the bazooka. I don't need one of those. I really don't.
I don't need
a
bazooka, but how much
I'm a
fun
gun
would it
owner.
be to have a bazooka?
Sure, to shoot a bazooka.
Yeah, that would be so fun.
But so
Just like
let's have Disney World for people who want to shoot guns and go shoot a fucking bazooka at
holy shit.
Well, they got like
at
those
Joe's Bazooka World.
Listen,
they got like
but not in your fucking backyard because you have 5 acres in Archer. You know,
you need a patent.
Well, that's where you should be shooting bazookas.
No, you should be shooting it at the fucking bazooka park.
You need to patent that idea, like a bazooka fun park. Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, like the trampoline house is like the bounce house.
I would go there,
dude. Don't jump on a trampoline because I'm probably gonna hurt myself. I can shoot a trampoline. I can shoot a fucking bazooka.
This could be a real moneymaker. I'm telling you.
Stand-up comedy. I have my new venture.
Bazooka farm, man. Like let's just blow shit up with fucking bazookas.
Yeah,
but I mean, and that's just it. It's like we've gotten so far away from common sense.
Yeah.
It's more important to be on the right team.
Yeah.
It's more important to get somebody who agrees with me and share that link instead of oh, wait a minute, let me look into this objectively.
And
that's what's scary.
So are you saying that we shouldn't have a bazooka park?
No, we should have that.
We definitely should have that.
That's going to happen.
I was told if I came into the podcast, we got to shoot a bazooka afterwards. So,
Nicholas,
listen, you got to get through the boss.
Katie, I think I saw her walking around here.
Fucking liberal Gainesville. But no, I mean, again,
not letting a couple of guys drinking a bottle of rum and shooting off a fucking bazooka.
I am a gun owner. I am not a gun enthusiast.
Yeah.
I have a shotgun that I have literally shot twice, and I've probably owned it for 5 or 6 years. It's not. I'm not a hunter. I'm not anti-hunting.
Is that all you have? Just, I mean, you don't have to give me a detailed list, but so like a shotgun though. But that's I think everybody should have a fucking shotgun.
Sure.
In their home. I really do. Like safely, you know. But I mean,
lock it up.
A well-armed society is a polite society. There is something to that. Are you going to break into if everybody in the U.S. had a shotgun? Do you think that would bring down the amount of burglaries?
Oh, absolutely.
Done.
Yeah.
Problem solved.
Yeah,
more people are going to start coming out with like a fucking like.
But see, the problem is, and again, whether you're talking politics or religion or whatever you want to talk about, is people, especially with religion and politics, their belief systems are important to people.
Yes.
And so if you are quote unquote attacking that belief, which again I would argue I'm only questioning. I'm only asking you to ask questions. I'm not asking you to change your mindset. I'm not asking you to believe what I believe. I'm only asking you to look into it and ask questions.
Ask questions. Question
But for
everything.
some people that's too much. And that's what I don't understand, the blind faith, be it religion, be it politics, be it whatever. I don't understand just the blind. Okay, I'm going to believe this shit. I think that's where you get into trouble.
That's where the trouble starts.
I agree.
Is that blind faith?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, and that's what's scary. And I mean, and it's weird as a parent telling your kids that, but to tell your kids, look, question authority to a degree, but be respectful. I think there's a way to do it respectfully. Again, I've written some jokes that I probably won't end up telling because they are. It is kind of taking a shot at, say, the church or at Islam or at Buddhism or whatever. Because that's one thing I said is when I finally decided I'm going to do stand up and I am going to talk religion because I know it and I have a lot of material on it. One, if I'm going to talk one, I have to be willing to talk all of them.
Yeah.
I'm not going to. That's one thing. Even though I'm not a Christian, one thing I can't stand is how many people are fine shitting on Christianity, but you can't shit on anybody else.
Shit on all of them.
Fuck that.
Absolutely.
And again, I would argue I'm not shitting on any of them.
Yeah.
But I am questioning them.
Right.
Now, can you poke more fun at Scientology than Islam? Sure, of
100%.
But I mean, I have a bit that I do about the 72 virgins.
Yeah.
And asking questions, and I've heard people say, "Well, the 72 virgins is kind of played," and then I've heard nobody else with my point of view on it.
Right. What's your point of view on it?
So the bit I do is I go into a bit about how I'm curious and how curiosity and faith are not always copacetic, and how I wonder if God looks at missionaries the way that I look at timeshare salesmen. And I go into a little Christian thing, talk about Jesus and missionaries for a minute, and then I say, or for example, in Islam they say if you die a martyr, you get 72 virgins as a reward. Again, I have questions about this. For one, nobody sacrifices virgins anymore, so where are they getting all these virgins from? 2, 72 is a big number. Is it possible to get like 60 virgins and 12 sluts to kind of show them the ropes a little bit? And 3, what happens when you have sex with that first virgin? Is she replaced by a virgin of equal or lesser value, or are you just down to 71 virgins?
Oh, fuck.
What if that one wasn't very good? Can he return it back to Target?
Like, you know, I mean,
my God.
You know, so those are the three I usually use on stage. I've had a few other ideas, like, you know, how do you know?
I'm not gonna lie.
What if you get up there and they're all boys? And, you know, I mean, like, you know, virgins, or like, you know, nobody sacrifices virgins anymore. So is it possible that it's just like a whole bunch of little girls who died too young and a bunch of fucking and a bunch of fucked up people who nobody would fuck? Like, I mean,
or does that virgin have a P or a G?
yeah, exactly.
There was
like, how do you know they're all girls?
Yeah,
there was a meme. There was a meme that floated around for a little while that said something about like, no, it wasn't 72 virgins, it was 72 Virginians, and it was like, ooh, George Washington or something like that.
At least it wasn't West Virginia. Jesus.
I've heard.
That's fun. I haven't really been. So I think
I
may
heard
have.
Virginians do not like West Virginians. What's up with that?
Well, I actually lived in Virginia for 2 years.
Virginia,
and
is
I knew a couple of girls that were from West Virginia. Really hot. But having a conversation with them,
but we have a friend
really
who's from Virginia, and I think somebody might have accidentally almost called her, asked her if she was from West Virginia, and she like lost her mind. It's not.
Do we have a friend from Virginia?
Have you ever heard Randy Moss talk?
Not really.
Look it up, man.
Yeah.
When you have black people who sound like that, it's fucked up.
Is it?
Yeah. Like I was in Roll Mountain, Tennessee in 1994. We had a little family reunion up there, and family from Wisconsin came down, met, you know, it's like halfway, and we go into Burger King or McDonald's, and we hear, "May I take your order?" And turn around, it was a black lady. I was like, holy fucking shit, we are in the Twilight Zone. This place is weird. But yeah, man, there's some. Now that was Tennessee, not West Virginia. I had not spent a lot of time in West Virginia. I think I might have went through part of it on a safety patrol trip in 4th grade.
You did the safety patrol.
But I've heard Randy Moss and Jason Williams. Jason Williams played basketball here at UF. You know, played in the NBA for a while. White chocolate, whatever he's called. Yeah, West Virginia sounds like a fucked up place.
You want to talk about a twang? Yeah, they definitely have like a West Virginia twang.
Oh yeah, it's crazy. Yeah. See, and that's what's crazy is because I'm from here. I'm from Florida. I was born and raised in for the most part, Alachua County. My mom was from Lake City originally. I think I was born up there, but we lived in Gainesville. I went to school in Alachua. And I've had people tell me I have a very southern accent, and it drives me fucking insane.
You don't sound.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I try not to. I really try not to. I think what it is, like a lot of times, maybe for work, because I used to work in. I worked for this credit union for a long time.
Right.
I was in our call center. I was a manager in our call center for a while. And I think I do it sometimes with comedy too, and that's what I'm trying to work on is speeding up how I speak. I think sometimes because I have a tendency to mumble. Like my wife and I, we've been together a long time, but my brother and I can sit on the couch and have an entire conversation. My wife has no idea what the fuck we're saying. You guys familiar with the show Swamp People?
Yes,
I can love it. I can watch it without subtitles.
I don't need subtitles either.
Yeah.
You
know what? Speaking Creole's easy.
Yeah.
Never let the tongue touch the roof of your mouth, and never close your mouth fully.
Huh?
You want me to show you?
Yeah.
Come on, boy. You gonna go on down there. You gonna shoot some gator now. You gonna get them
Holy
gator.
Shit.
We gonna eat them gator, boy. Gator good. You gonna put it in the frying pan. Gonna shoot it.
What the fuck just happened?
Don't let the tongue touch your roof of your mouth, and never close your mouth all the way.
Holy shit, that was awesome.
Nick, Matt, come on, boy. We're going to go on here. We're going to drink this rum, boy. This rum good, ain't it? This rum good. We're going to come on now, drink it, put it back, boy.
You know what's funny is I actually understood everything he just said right there.
So did I. But it's probably because we drank nearly the entire bottle of rum.
Yeah, I was supposed to leave that for you guys.
Hey, well, this is fine. This is fine. We're doing fine. This is delicious.
I think this is the first time I've ever been to the porch, and I've only had one beer.
But you had like 4 glasses of rum.
That rum's fucking
good. It's delicious.
Yeah, it's super good. And it was just a Bud Light. It wasn't even like a Natty Daddy or anything like that. At least it wasn't a Truly.
I have to say, I would probably take a Truly, even though I don't know what it is, over a Bud Light. I hate Bud Light. I don't know why. I really.
Oh no!
I'm not a huge beer guy.
No, you would definitely take a Bud Light over a Truly.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not a big beer guy.
Me neither.
I do like beer, but usually if I'm drinking to try and get a buzz. Which, I mean, this is pathetic. I've probably been drunk less than 5 times since my daughter's been alive, and she'll be 15 in December. I'm not a big drinker.
How are you guys dealing with all this COVID stuff?
Because I really
you're in the same boat I am. You got
really,
kids the same age, and I mean, with school and there's.
Do you want me to be honest?
Yeah, man.
Okay. Like, if I'm being honest when it comes to the whole COVID thing, I try not to talk about how we're doing. Yeah. Because I think we're probably in the top 1% of lucky people in this country. I work from home.
Yeah.
I worked from home, generally speaking, Tuesday through Thursday. Right. But with all this COVID stuff going on, they told me just go ahead and stay home Mondays and Fridays as well. I've been with this company for like 17 and a half years.
Yeah.
My wife is self-employed. She's a therapist, and she has started to work from home. My daughter actually wanted to do. She's very mature for her age, and she has a real hard time. And she's going into 9th grade. She has a real hard time with some of the stuff that goes on at school. So she kind of wanted to do online anyway.
Yeah. And
we weren't necessarily going to let her, but we are now. And my son is probably the worst in terms of, he doesn't really want to do online. But he plays like Fortnite and shit, and so he's still talking to his friends a fair amount. So honestly, in the grand scheme of things,
so I find the
Atkinson family is very lucky. We're very lucky, and so I almost feel guilty. Honestly, I almost feel guilty in some ways because we were, until I started doing stand-up comedy, we were homebodies anyway.
Yeah.
Like I somewhat jokingly tell people, but it's really probably accurate. My wife and I have gone out more in the almost 2 years I've been doing comedy than we did all through our 20s and 30s.
Right.
Now she was going to grad school. We were both going to. I took the scenic route through college.
Yep.
We were both going to school.
Well, my wife and I don't go out near as much as we used to.
Yeah, I mean, we weren't big go out people. Sure.
That was it.
Yeah. So doing comedy actually started getting Sarah and I out, and we started meeting some. I mean, I'm actually very lucky. I probably have between 8 and 10 pretty close friends. The majority of them I've known since middle school or longer.
Right.
And a lot of people don't have that.
No.
So in some ways this whole stability thing is good.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Sarah my wife being able to build her business and all, us being together and supporting each other has been a huge help. But I think shaking it up sometimes would be good too.
Yeah,
and so the kids, we do plan on them going back to in-person school next year once we move to Denver. Like that our plan right now is we're going to probably go out to Denver after Christmas and spend somewhere between 4 and 8 weeks out there. Hopefully I can still work remotely all 5 days. We can look for schools. We can try and find a place to live. Part of me really kind of hopes that my daughter really wants to go to this Denver School of Arts, I think it is, because it's downtown, and I've never lived in a city, and I kind of want to live downtown, and that's where all the comedy clubs are,
Yeah, absolutely. That'd be fucking awesome. To be able to do that.
I hope so, man. I'm really going to give it a shot. I mean, I've like I said, I started this as a hobby, and I really hadn't. I would kind of joke around with my wife about, when I'm famous, when I do this. And again, I don't think I'm necessarily on the verge of being famous or anything like that. But if one day I can replace my income that I have right now as a mortgage, I mean, I've worked for this company for 17 years.
Yep.
I worked my way through college eventually. I've worked hard towards what I've got.
Yeah.
But, now I see that I am actually decent at this.
Yeah.
I do actually maybe have a future in this. And so, we're trying to open up some different avenues. The silly little frivolous, I actually have some we're hoping to record this weekend. I'm suing vegetables.
Nice.
with a very pun heavy commercial coming for vegetables. Some silly things like that. I mean, I think I would like to maybe give acting a try one day. It seems fun to me.
I agree.
But realistically, I think that my strongest point at this, and I heard AJ say this on an earlier podcast with you guys. My strong point is probably writing.
Yeah.
I love performing. I'll do it no matter what.
Yeah.
Like I jokingly told somebody once, my goal is to write something good enough one day that I get to say, hey, I want a fucking special. That I get to say, give me an hour on this. Or,
Absolutely.
Know what I mean?
Dude, you are like chasing after my own heart. Like everything you're
We're
saying
gonna
right
fuck
now.
after this, aren't we?
Yeah. But that just like that's exactly like what I think about. It's just like, I would love to try out stand up comedy. I would love to try.
Dude, you should,
this.
man.
And
I've been telling him he should.
Dude, if there's a chance, like even like a small itty bitty chance of like getting into like an acting gig, that would be like.
Now,
oh my God!
Have you acted did you do theater and stuff in high school or anything like that, or?
No.
I did.
No.
I did a lot of theater in high school. I did.
I thought I remembered hearing you say that. Yeah.
Where
did
that get you?
Right here in Porchville.
Yeah. And that's where it got me.
Yeah, but I mean, how long did you play music? I mean, you know what I mean?
For a long time.
Like, that's the thing. So I took
the best years of my life.
I took a chorus class in 8th grade.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to take agriculture. I grew up in Alachua.
Right.
I didn't want to take ag.
Actually,
and so I guess I technically was on stage. I think I played Frosty in some production or something at some point. But really, for the most part, I've never been on stage until I did stand up. And so, building that confidence in being on stage. Like, I think I have some good shit to say. I think I'm funny. I think, I have that confidence in that. Okay, I know I'm a fairly smart guy. Like, I'm no fucking genius, but I'm not bottom of the barrel guy either. No. And that comes into play sometimes too. Like, there's sometimes I've kind of thought about writing a joke about like ancient aliens, right?
Yeah.
But then I'm like, okay, how many people really know this? So am I going to have to set this up so long
that
it's not going to be funny?
That George guy had a meme, so I mean, he's I think a lot of people know what it is.
Yeah. Oh yeah. With the big hair, Giorgio Tsoukalos or whatever.
I'm not going to say it's aliens.
Yeah. Right.
Aliens.
I mean, and so there's a lot of this obscure shit that, like, I had a bit that I really want to try and make work, and maybe I still will, but I do this bit about Jesus wasn't a cracker. It's tying in communion into little white wafers.
It wasn't even bread.
Yeah, like there's no way Jesus was a cracker.
Like that.
Yeah, and so I kind of wanted to tie in this joke where I'll say something along the lines of, now don't get me wrong, Greek and Roman culture has been pervasive throughout Christianity. Jesus was a contemporary of the Romans, and throughout much of history, the church founded in his name has practiced doing things the Greek way. Well, a lot of people don't know when I'm saying the Greek way, I'm talking about anal sex. and so setting up that joke, so I've only told it once, and when I told it, nobody laughed, and I literally told the crowd that joke was just for me. And so one of my buddies was like, well, that's a long ways to go just to say people in the church do butt sex.
I don't think it is.
And I'm like,
I don't think it is.
Well, but see, here's the thing is, I took that almost, and this is one of my best friends. I mean, this guy's a brother to me.
Yeah.
I've known him since 3rd grade. But I took it to heart because in that joke, it wasn't just about saying, hey, some people in the church fuck kids in the butt. it was about saying like
we shouldn't laugh when he says that.
But it was about tying in the whole Greco-Roman Renaissance white Jesus kind of thing.
Yeah.
It was kind of tying it together, but people didn't see that. In my mind, it makes sense because I know where I'm going.
Yeah.
But nobody else really saw it because what I'll end up doing a lot of times is I'll have an idea for a bit. And I'll send it to, AJ and Spencer and Dan Perea is another good friend of mine. I'll send it to some of my comedy friends. I'll run it by my wife, but I'll run it by some of my friends who aren't comedians too.
Yeah.
And sometimes they're like, I have no idea what you're talking about. Like I tried to write a joke the other day about the St. Johns River. You know how the St. Johns River runs north.
Right.
And I said something along the lines of, I think the St. Johns River was running north to try and get the fuck out of Florida. But then when it realized it had to go into Georgia, it made a hard right and pulled a Virginia Woolf and walked into the ocean. And if you don't know that Virginia Woolf walked into a lake to kill herself by suicide, you don't know what that joke's about. But to me, it's fucking funny because I know Virginia Woolf killed herself. I have no idea
what you just said.
Right? See, and that's so okay.
This is the Wisconsin boy.
One of my favorite jokes that I've written in the recent past.
Mr. Tom Brady fan over there.
One of my favorite jokes I've written in the recent past.
I'm not even going to say anything about that.
I grew up a Dolphins fan, so fuck Tom Brady. Although I respect the hell out of him, and I like him better than Peyton
fuck
Manning.
you, Nick.
He loves Tom Brady.
So here's one of my favorite jokes.
I'm going to throw you into what river was that you're talking about?
The St. Johns.
Yeah, I'm going to throw you into St. Johns.
So one of my favorite jokes I have right now is talking about how long my wife and I have been together, and I say, even after all these years, we still have a healthy sex life. And I like to think I'm good at satisfying her, but I also have low self-esteem. So sometimes I wonder if I'm doing a good job or if her vagina has Stockholm Syndrome. And that's a really good fucking joke.
Yes, it is.
But a lot of people don't know what Stockholm Syndrome is. I mean, that's what I found. I love that joke. I think it's fucking clever, and I really love it. I really, really like. Put it this way: she's gonna fucking be mad when I tell this story, but you already said no.
That's all the more reason to tell it.
We actually, I wanted to add a line to that says, I actually wrote that joke seconds after making sure I was confident enough to tell it. Because we had just gotten done in the throes of passion, and she's in the shower, and I just walked up and I pulled the shower curtain back, and I'm like, I got a new bit. This is a great fucking joke. And I told her the joke, and it's been in the show since. So yeah, but I mean, like,
it's safe to say that's maybe her least favorite one.
No, she's awesome, man. My
Okay.
wife. I mean, I know it fucking sounds cliche. She's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, really, truly, she really, truly is. We
that's
have
amazing.
An awesome relationship.
After 20-something years still together.
We moved in together.
That's amazing.
Actually, next month, September, will be 24 years of living together.
Congrats.
Yeah, so over half of both of our lives. But she's amazing. Honestly, she's very goal, very driven. She's had her own business for like when she told me she wanted to. I mean, I knew she wanted to open her own practice from the get go. But when she was ready, I mean, our son was a year old.
Where did you guys meet?
We actually, I guess technically, I think we met in high school. She's 2 years younger than me. We worked together at a grocery store.
Yeah.
I think the first time we met was in high school. Was actually at school.
Was that here Lake City?
Alachua. Yeah. She was actually one of my very best friends in the world, Aaron Morfitt. She was actually really close with Aaron.
Yeah.
Her and Morfitt were really good friends. And so I kind of got into, but I mostly got to know her through work. And like I said, I kind of had this long. I had the mid 90s, like shaved underneath, long on the top. But I had this really, like, my hairline is very fucked up, as you can see. It's like I tell people it's like a W for wisdom.
Have that shit, man. Hey,
huge widow's peak. And so I had, like,
I think it looks great.
long on top.
I would totally.
Oh yeah, shaved is the way to go for sure. So I had it really long.
I did
on
the
top,
same thing.
Like it was shaved up to here, but it was below my chin from the top, long. But it's so thick and it starts to curl out.
It was beautiful,
right? And so I would kind of pull it back and stuff. And so then when I shaved it, she was like, "Oh shit, I can see your eyes, I can see your face." And that's when she actually became. She hates. She hates long hair. So, but yeah, so we kind of just started hanging out, and it turned into this. And then we were like, you know what, we both need a place to live. I had recently just moved back home. She was going to college full time and was working 25 plus hours. I was working full time because I had already graduated high school. So we worked at Food Lion together, and we moved in together. Like, we were barely even dating when we moved in together, but we had been friends for a long time. And 24 years next month, man. So yeah, I have some I've never really done a lot of like sex jokes or masturbation jokes, but I have some masturbation jokes that are all about, like I jack off in the shower. I'm not a big porn guy because I've never had my own room. My brother's a year and a half younger. Like, I always had to jerk off in the shower, just because that's the only alone time I had. So I'm just in there, just trying to make sure my dick's zestfully clean, just beating it to death. I still get hard when I smell skin so soft.
Oh, that took me a second, but I caught up.
Yeah, but
that's awesome though. That you got, because you got a strong foundation.
Yeah. What about the skin so soft?
That too. That too.
Yeah.
Keep the gnats away too.
My wife and I, we were very fortunate, much in the same way, where we were friends a little bit beforehand.
Yeah,
and all that sort of stuff, and
it's weird, because
it helps.
I really, again, not being religious, I'm not. I didn't necessarily, dude. I love my kids, but I didn't necessarily want kids.
Yeah.
I didn't really even necessarily care about getting married because I'm like, oh, it's just a piece of paper.
Right.
I'm not religious. There's no religiousness significance, whatever. And so I actually have a joke about that too. Like I didn't necessarily want kids, but my wife did. I didn't want a divorce, kind of thing.
It was the 90s,
it wasn't that
everybody
I wasn't like anti-kid, but I was just like, we have a good life. Like if we really
was angst filled in the 90s, it was just
because
let's be different. We're gonna start new and start fresh.
I'm right at the end of that Generation X.
Yeah,
of that gen. You know what I mean? Like I was born in. Jesus. I was born in 1975. December, so the end of 75. But I was born in 75. I'm right at the end of that Gen X. And so, I guess there's a certain amount of that, but, I think
I've read that Generation X is considered all the way up to 1980.
Yeah, I know.
Thankfully,
it's so back and forth.
Because I was born in 1980.
There's no real cutoff to that shit. I know people who are younger than me that act like fucking grumpy old men. I know people older than me that you're like, Jesus Christ, why you're not in high school anymore? You're 66. So that's what's so funny to me, about this whole the coronavirus and all this that's going on. Everybody's like, oh, we just got to get through 2020.
Yeah. Yeah, like
the
January 1st,
like the universe.
Shit's just gonna be over.
Right, like the universe.
Like it's gonna be a new dawn. Like a fucking Star Wars movie.
Like, look, I am nowhere close to being smart enough, as I said before, to truly understanding string theory and some of this other dimensions.
I need to get the other bottle of monkey. You want some of this monkey?
Sure, man. I'm nowhere near smart enough to really truly understand that stuff. But there's so much weird shit. Who's to say that there's not other dimensions? Who's to say there's not other shit going on right now that we're not having this exact same conversation?
Maybe we are.
Within 5 or 6 words.
Yep.
But instead of mad, it's Katie this time, or instead of me, or instead of just me, Sarah came with me, or something. You know what I mean? Like there's,
Hey, we should do that next time. You bring Courtney, I'll bring Katie. You bring Sarah.
Yeah,
that'll be dope.
AJ was doing a little podcast for a minute.
Yeah,
and that's that's the thing is
Captain Autism.
I really say it's very, very. I don't know how many times I've said it tonight, but very, very regularly when I'm talking about my comedy.
Yeah,
it's we. And like I say, Sarah doesn't write per se, but I mean she's so involved with helping out. Jen Vito, kind of jokingly calls her my manager.
Well, she's just as much a part of your process.
I mean, there's really some truth
everything.
to that.
Yeah,
I'm not going to go up there and talk about performing cunnilingus unless she's okay with it. You know what I mean? She's cool. Like she's like
it's all right.
Like I have a joke where I talk about gaslighting. I'm like, my wife's a therapist. So I know a lot about mental health, but she never told me about gaslighting. And so I found out about gaslighting, and I came home and confronted her about it, but she assured me I'm just being crazy, so we're okay. Yeah, that's, not everybody be okay with, going up and, first of all, announcing, my wife's a therapist, because that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you said before, I think it was you who said it, Nick. The truth is what's fucking funny.
Yeah. I agree.
Yes. So much of what, and so.
If I did say that, I agree.
I have a bit I haven't really been able to try out yet. Maybe I'll do. So, I had this friend who, like 21 years old, right? Was living with his girlfriend at the time. They're married now. They've been married for a long time, just like me. So, he's 21 years old, and his father-in-law asked him future father-in-law asks him to go fishing. So my buddy goes fishing with dad, uncle of his girlfriend, right?
Right.
So they're out in the middle of the fucking ocean, or middle of the Gulf of Mexico. You remember how fucking stupid you are at 21?
Yes.
So, 21 years old, not married, but living with girlfriend, and out in the middle of the fucking Gulf of Mexico with dad, uncle.
Yeah.
So, they're out there just fishing, just, whatever. And after a while, future father-in-law, I have to say. So my buddy at the time did not eat meat. He ate seafood, but he had quit eating turkey, chicken, red meat, like only ate seafood. So they're fishing, and after a while, dad goes, or future father-in-law goes, so hey, since you don't eat meat anymore, does that mean you don't eat pussy? And my buddy's just like, just like keep fishing, like I'm not answering this fucking question. Just keep it. The other two, the uncles are looking at him like, what the fuck is going on? Yeah. Keep fishing. Throw out a few more times. A few minutes later, dad goes, hey, so you never answered my question. Yeah. And so my buddy goes, well, I don't eat meat anymore, but I still eat seafood, so I still eat clams. He's like, yeah, fuck, man. I can't believe you said that shit to your dad. Like, that's not a good thing to say, right? But first, like, who the fuck asks about his daughter? You know what I mean?
That's fucking weird.
And so I want to eventually turn that into a bit and take it on the stage, but I want to end it with, like, so, comedians will take a true story and they'll just kind of embellish things a little bit. So in this particular story, what I embellished is, one of the people wasn't his uncle, or her uncle. It was actually just a family friend. My buddy didn't actually say, "Oh, I actually eat clams." What he actually said was, "We don't do that kind of stuff at all." And the third thing I embellished was, what was it? Oh, yeah. It wasn't my buddy. It was me. That was my father-in-law. Yeah. Talk about uncomfortable, man. That was like, I'm like, yeah, no, I don't do that. What are you talking about?
Oh man, Cam, do you have any websites or anything like that we want to shout out and let everybody know where they can go and find you at?
Yeah, everything is actually Instagram. So I didn't really do social media until I started doing comedy. I'm not real good at it, but Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, all that stuff. It's Cam Inks-a-ton. In some variety. Some have an underscore, some don't. Most of them don't. I think just Cam.Inks-a-ton.
And we're going to link to it in the show notes and where people can find you and all that sort of stuff. And
this is an awesome setup, and thank you guys so much for having me.
We're going to make sure we post the Dumas video, the lawyer video. We'll show.
I should have added a B. I should have made it, instead of Dumas, I should have made it dumb bass. I should have added the B to make the dumbass more. But well, thank you. I appreciate it.
It was pretty amazing.
My first foray into acting, so I appreciate that very much.
It was amazing. Anything else we want to add on the way out? This is episode 41.
Just real quick, I just want to say, man, thank you guys so much for having me. This is an awesome idea.
Been a blast.
I'm leaving Gainesville, but I still love it. I have a very much an appreciation in my heart. I would not be where I'm at comedically today without Gainesville. So thank you guys for having me so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for coming out, man.
Glad to have had you, man. And we'll, like I said, we'll link to that stuff in the show notes where they can find you.
Awesome.
Another episode of the Porchville
Hell
Podcast.
Yeah!
PorchvillePod.com. Go over there to Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, wherever you download your podcasts. You can find us. Just do a search for Porchville. We will, like I said, get some notes up where you can find Cam, and that's all I got. Bye-bye, good people of Porchville.
Have a good night.
Night.
See you.